guys? I hope you're having an amazing Wednesday. This is Dr. Vic. You're listening to the Mindful Chiropractor. And this topic I want to talk a little bit about because this is something that is pressing for chiropractors. I've been doing some surveys in my groups and on different platforms to just get a gauge of what is it that chiropractors need. Now, if you're listening to this and you're like, hey, that's not what I don't feel like I need that. Email me and let me know. I'm looking at content to create and putting some stuff together to help elevate in some way, shape, or form, plus with my touch on things rather than just the standard old stuff that we constantly see often in the profession. And this topic is, a lot of times we feel like we need new patients. I caught myself saying that all the time, almost all my career. Well, not it's about to the last 3 years, I kind of said, obviously we need new patients to keep the numbers up because no one always sticks around and stays. But at the same token, it was like I didn't have that as being a focus. And I'll talk a little bit about that and towards it. So make sure you listen all the way to the end because I'll be sharing all these things. But we feel like we always need new patients, right? You want to grow your practice, you need new patients. Everyone says it's a number game. You get this many new patients, this many percentage of those patients are going to come to sign up for care, and then that percentage of the patients are going to stick around after whatever how your system's set up this month, or you look at your PVA, you look at these things, you look at all these different factors to try to evaluate the number. And everyone says it's just a numbers game, right? You can only see so many people. It's just a fact. It's huge. You're chiropractors, unfortunately, have to be in the physical world. And in the physical world, there's only so many people that you can serve. Now, that doesn't mean you can't hire an associate doc, and now all of a sudden your numbers are going up, but that's not you adjusting those people that the associate doc does. So there's only a certain level of what we can do and what's the max. Saying all that, what I want to share with you guys today is about new patients. New patients is something that is, always needed to look at and always needed to grow to some way, shape, or form. But there are ways to, first of all, how do we streamline consistent new patients month after month after month? I'll tell you guys, I'm very straightforward and honest. I saw 8 to 10 consistently new patients per month. Now, my practice was set up in a way where I didn't need a lot of new patients. It always fascinates me when I hear chiropractors talk about, I get 30 new patients a month, 40 new patients a month. I get 80 new patients a month. I get 100 new patients a month. Those that are bragging about that, my radar goes up through the roof because I'm like, if that is true, and let's say someone gets 80 new patients a month. And I'm like, on the low end, let's say they get 50% of those, which is only 40 new patients a month. Which, heck, that for me, that was that 3 months of that, I have a waiting list. 2 months of that, I have a waiting list practice. Maybe even 1 month. 1 month I'll have a waiting list practice. So 40% of that, 50% of those people get 40 new patients are converting to care. How many of those do you think are leaving after a short period of time? Now, let's be real here, because let's think about it. 40 new patients signing up. They're literally signing up. Let's say 500 new patients in the year, right? It's multiplied by 12, 480. We'll just round it off to 5 and make this easy. So that's 500 new patients. Let's say their standard care is 3 times a week for the first month, right? So 40 new patients, 3 times 40 is 120, okay? Now that 40, I just want you to understand how these numbers don't add up. Then the 40 that go down now, let's say twice a week. Now that's 80 new visits, but you have another 120 coming in because of those new patients. So then that's you got 40 here, which is 120 new patient visits per week. And now you have another 80 adding on. Let's say you do twice a week for 8 weeks. And these are low care plans. I never practice this way. But so you got 120 and then you have 80. Okay, and then 80. So people who are starting in the first month, I don't want to make it sound confusing. I just want to really get clear on these numbers. So I'm taking 3 months. In the first month, out of those 3 times a week for 4 weeks, okay, you're going to see roughly about, now it's not 100% accurate, but let's just play with the numbers, 120. And the next 2 months, 80 and 80. Okay, that's 280 visits just in 3 months. So 1 quarter, you're getting 40 new patients. Those 40 new patients, they're sticking around for 3 months. That, again, is 280 patient visits, okay? Now, let's go 6 months. 280, that's 560, okay? 560 plus that's another 1,000. So when we look at these numbers, they exponentially grow very quickly on the number you're going to be seeing per week. And I thought I was thinking something there because 120 is adding to your per week adjustments. So 280 is 280 visits per week. When I said 560, right, that is 560 visits per week. When you start playing with these numbers and people talk about, oh, I get 80 or 100, 60 or 50 or 40 or 30, whatever it may be, and I'm just taking 50%, that's low. But to me, that's very low. I had a baseline standard of 80% or higher. And in the last couple of years of my practice, I always share this, is I was at 98%. And it's one of those things that when you're looking at these numbers, it just doesn't add up, does it? They got to have a big back door. And that's retention, which retention is a whole different conversation. You can't blend these two together. They're two different thought processes or two different systems that you have to implement in your business. But when you look at it, it's like, holy cow. So when I said I had 8 to 10 new patients, give or take, per month on average, okay, the way my business was set up is if I had 10 new patients, and let's say 9 out of 10 signed up for care, that'd be 20 to 27 visits per week. Now you have to also add into consideration people who are graduating from care. You also have to take into consideration that not everyone stuck around. Some people got partially through, some people, not everyone stuck around. And so when you look at the numbers, for me to grow my practice, I just needed 5 to 6 new patients a month. That was it. I think it was like 5 to cover the changes and fluctuations in the amount of patients we had, because we had a lot of wellness patients and we had a lot of patients who were converting into wellness or transitioning into care. So that's a visit here or visit here. I remember one time in one day, I had like 30 something, patients converting into graduating in care. And I was like, that's like 30 visits right there a week, like not happening anymore. I was like, wow, but we had a couple weeks later, new patients came in and they built up that gap. So understand there's variables to this. So it's not always just a retention thing, but that's how it was in my office, to keep my practice growing and keeping it where the numbers needed to be. So that way we had continual growth every year. That's the process of all I needed. Now, every practice is different, but you have to define what your practice is. Again, a whole nother conversation. That's not a new patients, but I'm trying to play this number with you guys because you have to understand, get clear with your numbers. That's the first thing I want to share in this, is get really clear with your numbers and understanding what do you need to see new patient visit wise to continue your growth in your business. What sustains it, sustains the level of where you are, and then what's going to help you grow to the next level. And this is where we have to get clear on those numbers and understand what is it you can take on. Could I have taken on 20 new patients a month? Of course I could. I could have took 40 or 60 or 80. I could have did all those things. It's not like I was stuck to one or the other. But I designed my practice a certain way based on how I evaluate, the scans I use, all this other stuff, to create a practice that I was like, this is how I want to operate. This is how I want to do chiropractic. It's all scientific based. There's a lot of great, I share a lot of philosophy, but I use the science. There's a lot of things that I would use in the process to monitor, to show the patients, educate them. I had all these systems in place. So the point I'm trying to make is that you want to know what your numbers are to be crystal clear with that. I've shared this before. You got to have clarity. I've shared it in the podcast before. Check them out. I think it was in the first 5 or 6 episodes. But the second thing you want to look at then is, okay, well then how do I attract new patients, Doc? Because that's what I'm interested in. Now, there's a whole slew of stuff that can attract new patients. Go on Google or Facebook and you'll just see a ton of people trying to advertise and sell you. I haven't been in practice in a year, and I still have, a year later, I still have people coming out, reaching out saying, I can help you grow more business. I can help you get more new patients. I could do this. I could do that. I could do this. And this is the way to do it. And this is the way to do it. And this is the way to do it, right? Understand there's a lot of ways to do things. Too many times human mind wants to just think this is the way, and someone's boasting their way and they taught their success, and God bless, they had the success. That's awesome. That's great. I'm happy for that. But that doesn't mean that's the absolute way. Is that the way for you? And the thing is, some people say, well, I don't know. I would love to get to this level. I just never experienced it. So I don't know. That is too much in the mind. You have to get out of that. That's going to confuse you. You're going to get distracted. You're going to get pulled away. What do you as an individual, what does it matter? How do you want to run that practice? Look at your practice, and then you look at metrics and how do you want to adjust these things? It's all numbers at the end of the day. Numbers don't lie. But also when you get clear with your numbers, then you can give the mind something to hold on to, and then the growth of where you want to go. So when we're looking at new patients, I'm just going to share some ideas. So you can do it through organic marketing, social media marketing, right? That's the big thing that everyone talks about. There's so many ways to do it now, through stories, through reels, through posts, through all these different things. If you do it on Instagram, if you do Facebook, if you do TikTok, LinkedIn. I mean, not going to get patients pretty much from LinkedIn, but Facebook and Instagram is where most people are. TikTok is another one that people talk a lot about. I have some issues with TikTok. I'm eventually going to be getting off it, but not from a growth perspective. It's just what TikTok does with your information. I just don't like that. So there's that perspective. You have obviously the Facebook ads, right? Some people say they work, some people say they don't. Some people praise the heck out of them, use them every single month and say, look, I've been doing this for the last 5 years. They absolutely are killer. Some people don't. You have referrals. Now, I've done a podcast about this where referrals is the thing that I was huge on. That was kind of what drove my practice. I was 100% referral. Some people like to argue, well, you have a website and you did Facebook stuff, so that's not 100% referral. True, it wasn't. I used that for social proof, but because we had a lot of Google reviews, we had a lot of Facebook reviews, and the reviews weren't like just, hey, help me with this, I felt great. It was like, I love when people come in the office and they go, I got lost in your reviews for like about 40 minutes. I'm like, 40 minutes? Wow, what were you doing for 40 minutes? I don't have that many reviews. And they're like, I was blown away by the stories, because when you read them, they're not just something quick. It's like, you helped with this, but then then it turned into this, and then it turned into that, and it became a whole life shift. And sometimes it's like the whole family had a life shift. And I see a lot of families. And I seen you just in kids. I saw pictures on there, and I'm like, that's the experience of what you have coming here. This is what we create, your family to us. And I tell them on day one that. But again, it's the referrals is another way that you look at things when it comes to that kind of process. New patients comes from an education system. Do you have an education process that you do in your office for new patients? What is that? How does it look like? What are you doing that way? Right? If you don't, then that's going to be an issue. Re-exams. My re-exams was a way of building new patients. How could re-exams? Did you ask for them? No, I never asked for new patients. I know there's coaches out there that'll be like, hey, you got to ask. You got to ask. You'll be amazed when you ask who they're going to refer. I agree with that. I'm not saying it doesn't work. Me, how I like to operate, that works well for me, that's not me. What I like to do is I'm good at planting seeds and having them think about that process. And then all of a sudden, they'll be like, last visit, you brought this up in our conversation. And I was talking with so-and-so, and they're going through something like that. Do you think what you do can help? Absolutely. I got to see what's going on to know the severity of it and so forth. But absolutely, I know chiropractic can help massively. And that was always my response. Absolutely. But I have to see what's going on. But I have to exam to know how severe or how long it's been going on or what's happening underneath the hood. I don't know that, right? From the surface, this is what you're telling me. Yeah, we can help from that. And sometimes it's like chronic illnesses. Sometimes it's, if someone was going through chemo, can chiropractor help with that? Well, they're going to be going through a lot of things. They need all the support they can for their body. It's one of those things that I would state that we can help, but I don't know how far, what's the far reaching. So you don't want to be, some people are like, yeah, we can help. Chiropractor helps all the time. Well, yeah, I'm not that type of chiropractor that said it like that, because I want the patient to know that I have a process that I do. I have an evaluation process that I do that I need to look and see how long things have been going on for. I can't tell you unless I go through my own little exam to know exactly where you are so that I can help the individual. But through that journey, I've done this so many times where 14-week-old mom comes into the office. 14-week-old mom, that sounds so wrong. 14-week pregnant mom comes in. She's 14 weeks pregnant, and she comes in the office, and we're going through the exam process. I have a very thorough evaluation for pregnancy, and in the process of educating and talking about labor, she has some concerns about labor, and we're sharing how chiropractic can help with that, and just sharing those things. She was kind of fascinated. She comes back for the day 2, and she's like, man, a lot of things you shared, like we're hitting so many notes. She goes, I have a kid with this, can you help with this genetic thing? Can you have my daughter? I have this person here, this and that. I was like, we can. Again, the same thing I share with you. We do the scans. I can see what's going on. We can do that from there. Do you want to get that set up? Would you want to get that scheduled today? Since you're here, take advantage of that, save the time. We can get that appointment situated. And then in your next visit, we can do all that. My team will help support you with the kids to help you in that process, right? So now I'm breaking, because mom will be like, oh my God, I have to have someone here to help watch the kids. And blah, blah. No, we got that. Like, if you're okay with us, we'll watch. We'll have them in the room. You'll be there with us all times. You'll have your hands on them. We're just there to help you whatever you need, so that this is not a stressful process. Because when you come here, we don't want it to be stressful for you. And moms will sometimes come in. You'd be like, "Hey, can you want to home the baby?" And they'll be like, "Yeah." And there's even times I have pictures in my office of where maybe a little slower at time, and I just go out there and I go play with the kids in the play area for a little bit, and then I hop out and I have to go get back to what I have to do, because it was just fun. That's just what we did. So there's the education side of things. There's education daily. Things of what you're talking about throughout the day, your workshops. It's another way of doing it. Workshops were great for me. That's what I loved. We did 2 a month, and one was for the public. Doesn't mean the patient's going to come. They could. We just marketed it to the public. And then the second one was inpatient only. It was referrals from the patients. Who do they want to bring to come in? And I would tell them, we have a great workshop coming up. If there's someone that you've been trying to want to get under chiropractic care, this is how I would ask for referrals. If you are looking for someone that you've been wanting to have come under chiropractic care, you've been enjoying the experience, plus you want to learn some deeper into health, have them come to the workshop. They'll learn about a health topic, and they'll get to see our office, and they get to learn a little bit more about me and see if it resonates. And those worked. Again, all I needed was I needed 5 new patients a month to keep things afloat. But 8 to 10 is what kept us growing. And so when you think about that for a second, that's the process of what we had our systems in place. That's why numbers are so critical. So I'm giving you guys some ideas here. There's something to do about this. So keep a hold, keep a lookout. I'm going to be doing a workshop all on this. I'm actually going to be coming out with a nice workshop, more in depth to what I just shared here, that I'll be sharing with you guys. So make sure you stay subscribed to the podcast. I will have this in the show notes, not in today's episode, but in future episodes coming up. We're working on a date right now and how we want to structure this so that we can get that out there to really start to teach some of these things. But I'm going to take it from a mindset perspective and everything that I do in a coaching side and drive that into understanding the concept of that. So when I say what works for you, we'll go a lot deeper into that. When I talk about all the different ones, we'll go into deeper aspects of that, what you can do, different examples of it. So that way you have a kind of a gauge and understanding that to then figure out what are the things that you would choose and want to do to help really grow your practice and so much more. Because new patients are great. There's actually something that's not but new patients are not the practice builder, but they do help in that journey, because a lot of times when I worked with chiros, coaching chiros, and in my own experience, when they keep saying I need new patients, then we start looking at something called retention, and that's a whole different conversation. But you do have to have a flow of some new patients to continue growth, and not 100% of people are going to stay with you. You're not going to convert 100%. I say 98%. That's pretty high. Some people say, "Oh my goodness!" But what we did is we got really good. This is how we were able to do this. Is we got really good on like pre-qualifying people who would fit our office. We knew what we were looking for. And what does that mean when I say that? Is we referred business away. So people are like, "Doc, you referred me like 10, 5 new patients in the last 3-4 months." Is like, well, what's going on here? And I'm like, those are just not patients that we align with and what we do. And so it's one of those things that you can look at, and that's a whole nother conversation itself. But stay tuned. As always, if you have not already, please subscribe to the podcast. If you found this to be inspirational or something that was insightful in some way, shape, or form, pay it forward. Share with at least one other doc that you know could benefit. And as always, if you like the podcast so far, please take a moment, share a review. It helps us get us out there and so much more. I want to thank you guys. Until next time, keep rocking and rolling.